So I just posted up. We were talking about Talisman, one of my favorite board games, talking about drawing characters. And that kind of got me thinking to other board gaming systems that I play, other board gaming systems that I explore, because I would say most of them revolve around selecting a character. I mean, being dungeon crawler or figure-based games. Maybe you could say even if you're playing strategy or world building games, your faction or the land that you occupy starting out, your house, that's kind of like a character. How do you go about doing that in a game? Now, I want to kind of balance things out in that I kind of like this idea of random because it forces you in the moment. If everything is truly random, like here's the characters, pick one, and we all pick one. I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know what you're going to get. So that adds some variety to the game. And once everything's revealed, of course, it forces me to now look and say, what's the tactica? What's the strategy that we're going to look to potentially utilize on the table? The downside to this, of course, yes, random, but I'm an Ameritrash player. I'm not a Euro player, so I love the random. Growing up on Games Workshop games and playing Warhammer 40K, it's all random. Here, roll a d6. So I actually don't have any issues with that. But I also am sensitive to the fact that if we're sitting down to play a board game, we're investing time. I mean, at least 2 hours. Well spent time, absolutely, but at least 2 hours in playing. I don't want you to play a character you don't want to play, or I don't want you to play a character that you perceive as not really good, because that's not going to add to the enjoyment of the game and bring the narrative of the game. So how do we select from there? A couple of options that I've used in the past. Now, if it's a big enough pool, we're talking about Zombicide Invader, Zombicide Black Plague. Let's look at Invader because that's been hitting the table a lot recently. With Invader, there's lots of characters to choose from, a lot of great characters to choose from. I also have the Kickstarter exclusives. I hate that term, Kickstarter exclusives, but it's the model. It is what it is. So there's a lot to pick from. Good, bad, different skills. If I'm playing that game, if I bring that to the table, I let everybody else pick first. Because thank you for experiencing this game and sitting down to play my game. I want to honor that. But also, I've played it a lot, and while I have my favorite characters, we're setting aside this time as a group, I could always play my characters solo, and I've probably played those characters. So most of the time, I will let other people pick first. If we're sitting down and there's a hierarchy, maybe someone really, really brand new to the game, let them pick first. Let them have that excitement of looking through the characters, seeing the tactica, capturing the imagination, and picking. If it's myself and a few others that we've played it numerous times, we'll be okay playing what we play. This is also often with Conan. I love Conan. We'll leave it there because I could talk forever for Conan. But essentially it's Conan and friends and one person playing the Overlord, controlling the monsters and the minions. Usually I play the Overlord, but in picking the other characters, I'll let someone else play Conan. On a side note, you'd think with the game being Conan, it's very one-dimensional. Often the question was, well, if it's Conan, nobody else wants to play the other characters. It's called Conan. I want to play Conan. And yes, Conan is absolutely fantastic. A lot of fun. It's Conan. But the game itself, with the actions and the other characters, they're just as fun. They're just as engaging. So I actually don't need to always play Conan. I try to play the other characters, just on a side note, but letting other people pick. Some other ideas and systems that I've used, what we used with Talisman, is draw 3 characters at random, and everyone picks from their hand. I've also seen dice off, roll a bunch of dice, highest to lowest, ties, re-roll, and let's see from that perspective. But what I try to capture is we're sitting down to play. I want to capture your imagination. What character do you want to play? And even games where it specifically states, or maybe it's built into the rules engine, these are the starting survivors, randomly pick or randomly assign. Sometimes I will override that because I'd rather have you pick what you want to play if we're sitting down to invest that time. So out of curiosity, my fellow board gaming enthusiasts, how do you handle character selection if you're with a group? Obviously, if you make that decision if you're playing solo. But with a group, how do you approach that? How do you handle that? And how do you explore that so everyone gets to play what they want to play?